Very good afternoon to all of you nature enthusiasts. A warm, warm welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you for joining us virtually for the second Nature Talks webinar. My name is Sugar and it's such a privilege to be joining you this afternoon. Today, we are going to be taking a closer look at some of the lesser known tourism spots as well as experiences offered at CapeNature reserves. We've gathered a brilliant panel together, some of them CapeNature specialists and also industry experts. We've gathered them today to unpack some of the ecotourism experiences on offer at the reserves, each one so special in their own way. Thank you for joining us, as I said, and there's an opportunity for you to win by subscribing to CapeNature's monthly newsletter, as well as attending this session. You stand a chance of winning a 2-night getaway for a family of 4 at one of the nature reserves. And as always, T's and C's apply. Please share your experiences on social media. The official hashtag for today is hashtag CapeNatureTalks. Remember to continue to talk to us, to engage with us, and to share your experiences on all of your social media platforms, and also to remember to tag Cape Nature. To stay up to date with what's happening on CapeNature Reserve near you, you can follow them on Twitter and Facebook at CapeNature1, as well as on Instagram at CapeNature. Now, we've got a couple of rules for engagement this afternoon. All of your questions, please send them to naturetalks@capenature.co.za. And because we're focusing on hidden gems and those lesser known experiences, we'd like to keep all questions just based on tonight's topic. If you've got any other questions, booking related questions, you can email them to CapeNature's contact center at reservation.alert@capenature.co.za, or you can call them on 087 087 8250. There's a friendly agent just waiting to take your call. Our esteemed panelists will mute their microphones when they are not presenting or talking, and me, that's Sugar, your MC, I will cue each panelist when it's their turn to unmute their microphone and respond. We'll have a question and answer session a little bit later. This session is being recorded and the link is going to be shared after the webinar. Just for those of you that want to know what's happening now during alert level 3, I guess we're all tired of being at home. Luckily though, selected CapeNature reserves are currently open for walking, hiking and fishing. You can visit De Hoop, Roberg, Marloth, as well as Grootvaarderspoort. They are just a few of the favorites waiting for you to explore. Remember, you can see that full list of reserves now open, and you can find that on the CapeNature website. Visitors are urged to please purchase their entrance fee permits online because of low-touch regulations at the reserves now. No permits will be sold at the entrance gates just to comply with COVID-19 low-touch regulations. Of course, we'd like to ensure your passage to be smooth and optimal booking and check-in process. So we ask you wildcard members to please pre-book your permits via the CapeNature Contact Center on 087 087 8250 prior to arriving at the Nature Reserve. I know the weather's been absolutely great for the past couple of days, but we'd love you to book ahead because all of those daily bookings will close at 10 a.m. daily. Your permits can be pre-booked for future dates as well. So pre-booking will then ensure your confirmed entry permit and avoid disappointment because, of course, capacities are still limited due to social distancing compliance. So if you think you might want to take a day trip somewhere, just book a couple of days in advance and remember to do so before 10 a.m. daily. Right now, we're going to introduce you to our keynote speaker, as well as our other panelists that are going to be joining the discussion. He's got over 20 years of experience in developing and managing projects. His main focus at CapeNature has been to manage and implement new tourism infrastructure and the upgrading of the existing facilities and infrastructure. He's been the manager for tourism development at CapeNature since 2008. Under his management, there have been some amazing products launched into the market, and several of them have won sought-after awards. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our keynote speaker for this afternoon, Mr. Wilfred Williams.
Good evening, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir. Also joining him is fellow panelist Galio Saints. Mr. Saints is the founding chair of the World Trade Network based in Geneva, Switzerland. He's also co-chair of the IUCN theme on environment and peace. Galio leads unique trips and expeditions linked to conservation and ecological awareness. He guides the Rim of Africa Traverse on a yearly basis. He's also co-founder of two of South Africa's longest trail experiences, the Eden to Addo and the Rim of Africa. He also hosts the Garden Route Walking Festival every year, which is South Africa's only dedicated walking festival. Good afternoon, Galio. Thanks for joining us.
Greetings.
Also joining the panelists this afternoon is another rose amongst the thorns, Margriet Kruger. She's worked in advertising. She's also done a 5-year teaching stint in an English school. She's settled in Cape Town and has been working for digital agency Tip Africa Publishing for more than 10 years. She's very, very passionate about delivering reader stories on protected areas and destinations off the beaten track, which is right up our alley this afternoon because we're going to be exploring those hidden gems. And she obviously adores CapeNature because I'm sure she's been down a beaten track or two. Welcome, Margriet. Great to have you joining us this afternoon.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Right, Mr. Williams, I'll now hand over to you and we'll get to our panelists a little later.
Thank you, Sugar. Okay, good evening, everybody. I'll be presenting briefly on some hidden gems at CapeNature. So I'll take you through to a short presentation. Okay. Okay, so in 2004, CapeNature, or the Cape Floristic Kingdom, was declared a World Heritage Site. It's made out of 13 clusters. Just more than 1 million hectares of land within the Western Cape and Eastern Cape has been declared as the Cape Floristic Kingdom. And what do we offer in the Floristic Kingdom? So you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so what do we offer our visitors? We offer a range of products from our overnight hiking trails, day trails, concessions with our smaller operators, public-private partnerships, and specifically at the WIP, adventure activities that is either self-guided or managed by our partners that has different concessions at CapeNature. Okay. Okay, one of our first gems and hidden gem number 1 is our world-renowned KOGELBERG Nature Reserve, which we've developed in 2 phases. The first phase being a suite of 5 cabins with a small meeting room nestled in the Overberg of the Western Cape province. And it's one of the first green products that CapeNature has done with planted roofs, thermal design, so you know, you bring the inside out and take the outside in. Next slide. As you can see from the design, it's very open-ended. So the outside of the natural environment is brought into the cabins and the design thereof. So it was very carefully designed around the maximum use of the sunlight throughout the day and the thermal design to heat up the facility. And then soon to be released, we've just completed KOGELBERG phase 2 and launching into the market once lockdown is lifted. And I'm sure that our clients are waiting with great excitement. What we have done with phase 2 is listen to our clients. So we've built a combination of single bedroom, 2 sleeper units, and then also larger facilities with 3 bedrooms that cater for the bigger families to enjoy the splendor of KOGELBERG, which has about 1,600 plant species that occur nowhere else on the planet but at KOGELBERG. Next slide. And then the ROCHERPAN Nature Reserve. And it's truly a hidden gem within CapeNature. It's one of those West Coast hideaways on the West Coast of South Africa. And what makes ROCHERPAN a hidden gem is the fact that the facility was designed around universal access and specifically wheelchair access. So your activities, the overnight accommodation is all centered and built around universal access for wheelchairs, including the activities on the short hiking trails, as well as the bird hides that can accommodate up to 10 wheelchairs with people being able to move around freely. Okay. And you'll see some of the scenery. And one of the things that we have done in ROCHERPAN Nature Reserve, the West Coast being a very, very water scarce area and was severely affected by the drought. And because of the heat experience in ROCHERPAN, we were able to manage and build a swimming pool that's completely sustainable by itself. So water is drawn from the ground and recycled continuously on a daily basis. Yeah, and hidden gem number 3, and I think it's one of CapeNature's flagship products, the tented campsites at GAMKABERG Nature Reserve. It's in the Karoo, and it's very self-sustainable, and you'll see from the imaging that it's nestled in the Karoo, succulent Karoo area, and it's made up of various facilities that accommodate our guests in different forms. And a recent addition to GAMKABERG Nature Reserve is a honeymoon suite. So you can experience GAMKABERG, as you see from the tented campsites. All you have to bring is your clothes and your food. The rest CapeNature provide with the comfort of small eco pools at each of these facilities. And then the reserve has a multitude of hiking trails and an overnight hiking trail and 4x4 trail in the mountain. And then we've also partnered with the local Khoi community to provide access to the cultural and historical sites at the reserve. Hidden gem number 4 is the Work Nature Reserve, which we manage with our P partners. And it's one of the gems at CapeNature that it offers a range of wild on the reserve. It's managed by the Work Collections Partnership on a long-term basis. Okay, next one. As you can see, our partners offer a range of interpretive services, most of them guided, eco boat trips on the world-renowned Flay at the WIP, quad bike tours, various game drives, stargazing, bird watching, interpretive marine walks on the ocean side, mountain bike tours, and the multitude of hiking trails. And then one of the few places, and probably the best place, where you can have land-based whale watching. We'd like to refer it as the whale capital of the world. And then soon to be released, we have GOUKAMMA Nature Reserve. And the facilities that you see currently is built around the existing GOUKAMMA River. And that's what our guests currently enjoy. So we have rondavels, a loft and a lodge, and various activities on the river, as well as hiking trails on the reserve. Next one. So We are in the process of planning a product at GOUKAMMA Nature Reserve called the Groenvlei Precinct. And it's one of our products that we will be completing by the end of next year. So it's the old Groenvlei site that, if our guests remember how it looked like, it will be transformed completely differently. And then it will have a mirror image of two 12 sleeper backpackers facilities, one at the GOUKAMMA side and one at the Groenvlei side, so you can traverse the reserve by hiking overnight. And the images that you see is basically a teaser of the 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom facilities that we'll be constructing from by the end of this year. Okay. And our developments have received numerous awards and has been published in numerous publications to demonstrate the sustainable construction of CapeNature, our contribution to touching the earth lightly, and in incorporating the various green technology in our development to ensure that we have longevity in terms of the planet, but also in terms of the products that we put in the market. Yeah, and this is just some of the accolades that we have received, and KOGELBERG by far is one of the accolades that stand out. So we've won the International Balsam Award for Sustainable Design in a Conservation Environment. One of the top 50 to do in Africa, and that's for the developments that we did at GAMKABERG Nature Reserve. The engineering award we received for one of the best engineering projects from a product design point of view at the Cederberg, and the AfriSam award was also accrued for KOGELBERG Nature Reserve. So yeah, thanks very much.
Oh, big thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that have questions, remember, please direct your questions to naturetalks@capenature.co.za. Also, keep sharing your experiences on social media, on Twitter and Facebook. You can find it at CapeNature1 and on Instagram at CapeNature, and the hashtag is CapeNatureTalks. We're going to continue with our discussions now. We're going to include our other panel members. So we welcome back Galio and Margriet. Galio, I'll start with you, sir. How would you define a hidden gem in the tourism sense?
Well, Sugar, first, thanks to Wilfred's introduction. I was so excited to see some of those gems presented, which is great. I think, you know, from a tourism perspective, a hidden gem is something that isn't on a big billboard, it isn't overexposed on Instagram or other social channels. It's essentially, you know, whether you're taking a road trip or a trail, it's that secret spot that you come across yourself as the trail user or as the visitor that you weren't expecting. And it's usually those spots that completely take your breath away, you know, whether it's an unexpected waterfall that is just, you know, awe-inspiring, or a view that stretches to infinity, or like you've seen in some of these options that Wilfred put forward, it might just be an accommodation space that is like completely unique and, you know, unexpected. So I think a hidden gem has some of those qualities, but also I would say a hidden gem has something about scale and character. You know, I think of the communities in the Cederberg, for instance, like Wuppertal or Heunenvlei. Those are communities that have incredible character and unique cultural, sort of refreshing cultural approach to life. And that's also a bit of a hidden gem. It's also the people or the guides that one might meet in a place that adds to a tourism destination's value in that respect.
Absolutely. Margriet, where would you go for a unique experience?
Sugar, in the Western Cape, the Cederberg is really one of the best kept secrets. You know, before I moved down here from Johannesburg, I didn't realize there was such a magical place. And you drop off the M7 and you're in a completely different world. You have these sandstone rock formations that it's like nature's playground, really. And for many years, it was the preserve of campers and overnight hikers. But CapeNature has fantastic chalets at Algeria that put you right in the mountains. You look up at the Middelburg and it's just fantastic. And from there, you can easily do a hike, the Waterfall Trail, that starts literally at your doorstep. It's about an hour. And it's a really good value hike because within that hour, suddenly you're halfway up the mountain, you look down, you have an incredible view. And when you get to the top, there's this little dell with a waterfall coming down into it. There are ferns, it's so green and lush. You couldn't imagine a space like that in the Cederberg, which usually you associate with these orange tones and far more dry and arid. And here you have this almost like a little fairy tale. When I was there, it was in February, and I was just blown away because there were red geysers. And it's such a privilege to see those.
Yeah.
So I would highly recommend that.
Wow, you've described something that sounds absolutely magical, and I'm sure a lot of our nature enthusiasts that have joined us are going to go and check that out. For those of you ladies and gents that are really wanting to know about Alert Level 3, don't go anywhere. I'm going to run through all of the rules and regulations with Alert Level 3 as soon as we've finished with our Q&A with our esteemed panelists. Wilfred, I think we'll come back to you now, sir. Many of the Cape Nature Reserves have been declared World Heritage Sites. Can you tell us more about that and why?
Yeah, Sugar, essentially in 2004, the Cape Floristic Kingdom was declared. So it's made out of 13 clusters spread across mostly the Western Cape and parts of the Eastern Cape. I think what's unique about it is that, you know, we have 70% of the plant species that occur in the Cape Floristic Kingdom occur only in South Africa and nowhere else. And I think KOGELBERG by far is one of those major, unique, interesting places that you visit. And that makes it unique. And you see the development that we've done there is to mirror what we have in the Cape Floristic Kingdom. So we use the environment to the best of our ability in the design work. So your question is, what does it mean to have a World Heritage Site called the Cape Floristic Kingdom 1? We receive international recognition for the protection of the species that we have. And it's also a drawing card for people to come from all over the world to see what it is that we have. And what the regulatory framework also provides for us is extra protection for those species for future generations to come.
Just incredible. There's just so much to see and so much to learn about. And that's where, you know, all of the really, really knowledgeable guides and rangers, they really have got a wealth of knowledge amongst them, pretty much can answer any questions surrounding the World Heritage Declaration sites and why. I love that. Galio, back to you. Let's talk a little bit about the Rochcherpan Nature Reserve Trail and your experience there.
Well, yeah, talking about gems, Sugar, you know, the Rochcherpan Reserve outside Plettenberg Bay in the Garden Route is, yeah, it's quite a place. And the trails in particular are, yeah, I would say those trails are world-renowned. My experience of them has been shaped really by the effort that CapeNature made when they first took over the management of this reserve in essentially rehabilitating and closing down a lot of the unofficial trails. These were old goat tracks because it used to be a farm before, and actually consolidating the main trails into a beautiful circular route, which is essentially 2 big loops. And, you know, talking about gems, Rochcherpan is just one of those places where every step you take, there's, you know, not even every step, just literally, you know, from the natural heritage to the cultural heritage to the richness of the marine life. One of my favorite things on Rochcherpan, for instance, is walking in the season when the great whites are in the bay, and you can actually sort of great white spot from the top of the trail down into the Rochcherpan Bay, which is the most remarkable thing to experience. And of course, there's the seal colony that you look out over, and then the caves with their rich archaeological heritage, and the seagull colony on the island. I mean, Robberg from a trails perspective, it's got everything from boardwalks to sort of very steep ascents in some places to rough coastal terrain along the very front end of the point, and then obviously beach walking. Yeah, I don't know. You know, people always ask me, where should you stay when they come to the garden route? And I always say, just book one night at the Fountain Shack.
Yeah.
Because that has got to be one of the most remarkable locations for an overnight hike. And yeah, so that's my take on the Robberg Trails. Magic place.
Just incredible. And I really think you've hit the nail on the head there with a lot of CapeNature properties. There really is something for everyone and everybody's taste and everybody's sort of level of fitness, whether you are a serious hiker, whether you are overnight hiker, or whether you just want to go for a leisurely walk after lunch. I think CapeNature properties have really got a lot on offer and even some hidden gems as well. Now, as I've just said that, Margriet, maybe we'll come back to you. Do you have a favorite that's great for seclusion and reflection?
Sure. And this is a place that Wilfred touched on in his presentation. It's GAMKABERG between Karlsdorp and Oudtshoorn. And it's a reserve I fell in love with even before I went there. Because I think what CapeNature have done there is so incredible in terms of the eco lodges, where you have a camp that is yours. It's booked out exclusively for you. So you really have that space and privacy to just be with yourself and the people who are close to you and important to you, and you can chill out and drink in the peace. And even in the setup there of this eco lodge, there are different spaces. So you never feel like you're in each other's faces. You can be on the little deck in front of your safari tent, or you can be chilling out in a lounge chair next to the eco pool, or you can lie back in a hammock and just listen to the Karoo sounds. It's a really great space just to let go and drink in the peace. You know, it's off the grid, so you don't have cell phones beeping and constant noise. It's super peaceful. And their entire approach there is to help you connect with nature. There's even a labyrinth that you can do. And you can walk that, and it's a walking meditation, really. You walk and you just let go and focus on your steps and the sounds around you and the air you're breathing. It's fantastic. And if you really, really want to get away from it all, you can go to Oakral, which you either take a 4x4 or you can hike there, and it's in the middle of nowhere with fantastic views.
Oh, wow. Another beautiful, beautiful picture that you painted right there. Okay.
Well worth it.
Absolutely. Wilfred, after years now working at CapeNature, do you have a favorite reserve, and what makes it unique? Why would you choose that favorite if you've got one?
Yeah, Sugar, it's a difficult, easy question. If you look at the accolades that we've received of all these developments, you know, and sometimes you sound like a father, but each individual development that we've done is unique in its own space. And we've put each in development in its own identity created for our visitors. But if I have to stand out and pick a reserve, I would pick something that's very close to what Margriet has chosen as her gem, and that's an iceberg nature reserve. You know, it's off the grid. It's in a triangle between three towns, Ladysmith, Touws River, and Laingsburg. But what makes it unique for me is that you are secluded. There's very little to no cell phone reception. It's a massive reserve of close to 150,000 hectares. And what it does, it's got a range of activities that you can do. As you have the Oakral overnight 4x4 trail at GAMKABERG, you have an overnight horse trail at an iceberg called Tapfontein. So you can do it by horseback, you can hike there, and you can take your 4x4 there. And when you do it on horseback, with the reserve, you have a guided. NatureTalks is one of those areas that is completely isolated, so you have a perfect night sky for stargazing. And our staff have been trained in the stargazing activities, so they can interpret the night sky for you. Yeah, and then surprisingly, in the middle of the Karoo, and we were severely affected by the recent droughts at NatureTalks, but we have a old farm dam that we converted into a swimming facility for our guests. And then recently, we've also acquired a property called Grand Canyon. So at Grand Canyon, we've developed this grand old manor house into a facility that stands out with its own private pool and its own eco pool facilities. And again, it's surrounded by the reserve with all its game. And it's one of the reserves that you can drive around and you can spot the Cape Mountain zebra. You can spot the eland, you can spot the hartebeest, and if you're lucky, you can spot the odd leopard, you know. So it presents it with a different kind of viewpoint from a visitor's perspective. I love it. I love it out there, just because of its seclusion, and you can't get easily be found by whoever is looking for you. Very little cell phone reception, but it's an absolute gem. And I think what makes the reserve also unique for me is the staff and the kind of service that you receive. We've recently developed the network of mountain biking trails. And what makes the reserve even more special, it's got a network of 450 unexplored roads and network of trails that you can walk. Yeah, so you need a couple of days there, but a weekend is enough. But it's a gem of a reserve to go to.
Lots of questions coming through about all of these hidden gems. Thank you very much for those questions. Please keep on sending your questions to naturetalks@capenature.co.za. Those questions will be answered, if not by this evening, in the next couple of days for sure. Galileo, let's get back to you. Can you tell our members, our guests, about the Rim of Africa? What goes off, or which goes off the beaten track rather, and crosses quite a good number of Cape Nature reserves? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, with pleasure, Sugar. The Rim of Africa is really no ordinary experience and no ordinary project. And but I have to admit, as the co-founder of it, it is South Africa's longest mountain traverse, reaching about 650 kilometers. And begins in the northern Cederberg, which is a region, you know, managed by CapeNature and partners, and extends right through the Cape Fold mountain range, you know, all the way south to Ceres, across the X River Mountains, then along the Langeberg. It touches on various Cape Nature reserves on that route, and eventually ends in the Outeniqua Mountains outside, just before George, and which are also a Cape Nature managed lands. So it's really this amazing jewel, if we're talking about gems, in the crown of the Cape Fold mountains. And yeah, so it takes about 56 days to walk, which mustn't scare everyone because it's broken into nine different sections of about a week each. So you can take a week off and do a week at a time. And there's not always a trail infrastructure, and the hikers carry their own pack and, you know, need to be self-sufficient for the week that they're walking. So it's a pretty out there experience, and one that highlights again and again the spending time in nature. And we see that in particular with our one project we do each year called the Wild Nights Out project for matrics, where we take matrics into the Cederberg, for instance, for a week of immersion in nature. And, you know, I can say, you know, for nearly everyone I know who's walked the Rim of Africa or even sections of it, they come back from that wilderness of the Cape Mountains really changed. They come back more in touch with their humanity and more in touch with the great beauty that is lying hidden in this incredible range of mountains that we have.
Oh man, everybody needs to be encouraged to go and just see it and experience it, because it really is a wonderful opportunity, as you say, to connect with oneself, to connect with your environment, and to appreciate what is right here on our doorstep. So many people come from all over the world to come and experience what is right here, and Cape Nature makes it so accessible for everybody to experience it, to have a comfortable stay, a home away from home. It's just wonderful. For those of our viewers that wanting to know about the specific gems that our panelists have been talking about, they want to know if there's a map to pinpoint those specific gems, please refer to the map on the website, which is capenature.co.za. Go and check out the map there. All of those hidden gems will be showcased on that map. Thank you, Galio. We've got one more question for you, but Margriet, we're going to move to you now. What, Wilfred was talking about the stargazing at Aneesberg. Do you have anything else that you'd love to add to that? What do you find so special about the stargazing there?
I think it's well worth going to Aneesberg specifically for the stars. It's really an excellent spot to view stars. So we know the Karoo is one of the best places in the world for stargazing, but Aneesberg is extra special. It's really this broad valley between low foothills.
Okay, Margriet, we can't hear you at this point. We're just trying to see if we can fix the audio at that point. Remember your questions, please keep them coming to naturetalks@capenature.co.za. Margriet, 1 second, we are just trying to fix your audio there. Remember too, I'll be running through those alert level 3 rules and regulations, especially if you don't want to be disappointed if you're wanting to go out for a bit of a day visit. Some of the reserves are open at the moment for hiking, for walking, and for fishing, and we'll run through some of those reserves in just a couple of minutes. Also, keep using the hashtag Cape Nature Talks, and you please share your experiences on the social media platforms, Twitter and Facebook at Cape Nature 1, and on Instagram at Cape Nature. Let's see if we are back. Margriet?
Can you hear me, Sugar?
Yes, I can hear you now. Welcome back. Hi.
Okay, great. Hi.
Hi.
So we were talking about Aneesberg.
Yeah.
And it's because it's so out in the middle of nowhere, really, although easily accessible, there's no artificial light. It's what we call a dark sky reserve. So the stars are magnificent at night. Even with the naked eye, you'll see incredible things. And with binoculars or a telescope, it's even better. And what Cape Nature has done there that I think is so amazing is they've trained the nature guides as sky guides, as star guides. So they unlock the heavens for you, and they can guide you in your use of binoculars or a telescope to zoom in on the incredible things to see. And there are various ways you can enjoy stargazing at Aneesberg. So even from the cottages in the main rest camp, you just walk out your front door. It's on an east-west axis, so you can see the entire Milky Way. Or you can do the planet trek that Wilfred mentioned. And that's another really clever thing, because as you ride to Tupfontein, you'll pass these markers that represent the planets. So you start off at Pluto and you ride, and then you go past all the planets until you eventually get to Tupfontein and the center of our solar system. So through the day, you've been working your way to what you'll see that evening and experiencing our space in this incredible universe.
Oh wow! We've lost you again there, Margriet. But we'll try and come back to you in just a couple of minutes. There was a question via the Nature Talks email. Thank you, Nasser, for your question. The question was, can one book now for the October-November 2020 season? And the answer there is, once the tourism sector allows for the opening of the accommodation facilities, but for now we are preparing the reserves to welcome you. Bookings can be done via the contact center, which is 087 on 0879262, or you can just go online, which is www.capenature.co.za. CapeNature currently very, very hard at work training all staff to make sure that everybody knows exactly what's happening with COVID-19 compliance so that all visitors to all the reserves are kept safe. Thank you very much for your questions. Keep them coming. NatureTalks@capenature.co.za. Once again, we will try and get back to Margriet and the final bit of her answer, but just incredible stargazing at Annesberg. Just incredible. Another beautiful picture painted there. Wilfred, let's move back to you. How can visitors experience the Khoisan culture at GAMKABERG?
Yeah, thanks, Sugar. Before I get there, I also want to add something to what Galio has said around the Rim of Africa and the northern parts of the Cederberg. And I think it speaks to the Khoisan culture at GAMKABERG. Yeah, it speaks to the Khoisan culture at GAMKABERG. So, you know, the northern parts of the Cederberg is also one of the top 3 bouldering sites in the world, and that's important to recognize. So what we have done at GAMKABERG is we've partnered with the local Khoisan community, and we've opened up the reserve from a cultural and historical perspective in September of 2018.
Thank you, Wilfred. Oh.
Yeah,
thank you, Wilfred. Thank you very much also for letting me know. Yeah, this problem seems to be on our side, but we are trying to sort out the problem. I'm so happy that you are all able to hear all of our panelists perfectly. So Margriet, you came through loud and clear there. Wilfred, you as well. Galio, could you tell us a little bit about the upkeep of the trails as well as trail marketing, please?
Yeah, sure, Sugar. I'm just wondering if Wilfred wanted to finish his sentence. It sounded like he was just getting to what he was going to say. So do you mind if I throw the ball back at him? I think he was just in the middle of something.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Gala, for the ball. I'll take that one. No, so what I was saying is that during Tourism Month in September of 2018, we formed this part opening GAMKABERG and the cultural and historical sites for visitors. So now there's proper interpretation of what is out there. And then in addition to that, we've now opened some of the rock art sites, and there's strict protocol around our guests in viewing those sites. You know, one of the drives of our CEO is that our communities has got to see what is out there from a cultural and historical point of view, what our forefathers have left behind for us. So we are quite chuffed. So it's an added value to GAMKABERG Nature Reserve from a cultural perspective. Okay, ball is back in your court, Galio.
Much. Okay, so I think just as a final word from all of you, thank you very much. This really has been a very trying time. The whole world has had to have a collective pause with a lot of people going through the most during the COVID-19 pandemic. I think we'll just go one by one, if you don't mind, with COVID-19 upon us and the challenges that this pandemic poses. What do you think visitors need to do to make sure that they are taking all the necessary precautions?
Okay, Sugar, I'll go first. So with our operations department from a tourism perspective, so we've developed a four-pronged plan with regards to COVID-19, and that's essentially just to cover ourselves and our guests from a safety point of view. So I think we have all become accustomed to the protocols, whether we go to the shop or whether we go to the garage, and CapeNature has implemented more or less the same, where one, we will not allow any entrance without a mask, so for both ourselves and our staff. Again, the second one is sanitize your hands frequently, both as a guest and when you come in and you do your booking and you receive your access to the reserve. And 3, our staff will monitor and take your temperature. We'll write it down. We'll follow the same protocols that we've all become accustomed to. I think the last step in that process is the recording of your details. So in the unlikely event that something does go wrong, we know where to get hold of you and your family to ensure that you have a safe passage during this period.
Yeah, I might add to that, Wilfred, from a trails perspective specifically. In my work as chair of the World Trails Network, where I head up one of our international task teams, looks at the interface between trails and tourism. And we just released a few weeks back a trails guideline for COVID-19 as a global kind of guideline, which people can download or go and investigate. But one of the things we highlighted was the need not only to protect yourself when you're out there, but to also protect the trail and to select the trail you might go on very carefully. So you might want to choose, for instance, a lesser known trail to go and spend your weekend or destination, where you're less likely to encounter many people, and maybe even look at a trail similar to those ones you find on Robberg, which are circular in design. So you start at one point and you can walk the whole trail and you end at the same point and kind of go in one direction, which also means you don't really walk into people coming towards you. So those are other kinds of ways in which you can really look after yourself or be extra cautious when you go out in nature, is to select the type of trail, choose preferably, if you can, a circular loop type trail, or to choose a destination that's sort of off the beaten track a little bit. And another thing to add to that is also not just to care for ourselves and to care for others, that's the reason why we wear a mask, but to be. So what we've seen with some scientific papers is if you trail running, you might want to have a bigger distance between you and the person in front of you. The same goes for mountain biking. And also to be aware of the need to protect the trail itself. So one of the things that happens with trying to social distance, we try and keep a bigger distance between people. So when we've got people coming towards us on the trail and we want to sort of help them pass, we step off the trail, and if we're not careful, we can step on endangered plants, or we can step on an animal's home. So to just pay a little attention as well to the trail infrastructure that could be damaged when we start making way or giving extra space to people as they pass. I think that's all I can contribute from my side, yeah.
From my side, I would just like to say we need nature now more than ever. And nature reserves are the ideal places to go and social distance. We have the space. And a place like GAMKABERG, you're in your own private camp. You can really look after your safety measures. So go out there, follow CapeNature's protocols, but enjoy nature.
All right, I think everybody's, thank you very much. Thank you very much. For those of the good folks that want to know about Alert Level 3, I'm going to run through that in just a minute. Thank you very much for your question, Shaz De Silva. This is a question for you, Wilfred. How far in advance does one need to book for KOGELBERG? And the booking is open a year in advance, or maybe I've just answered on your behalf, Wilfred. Anything you'd like to add there?
Yeah, I can add, and I think that's why we've listened to our clients. KOGELBERG Phase 1 was immensely popular. At some point, we ran at a 98% occupancy, so it became increasingly frustrated for people to book a weekend away, and sometimes you literally had to wait for somebody to die before you can get a booking. So we've extended the facility and the capacity of KOGELBERG Phase 2. So hopefully booking and trying to get access to the World Heritage Site and the splendor of KOGELBERG will become easier as from the end of this year onwards.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Looking forward to that. Okay, so for those of you that missed the information about Alert Level 3, this is really important, especially if you don't want to be disappointed. I was running through the fact that we've had so many amazing days in the last couple of days, and I know for a fact it inspires someone and some people to just go on a spontaneous drive, you know, ending up somewhere hoping to go for a walk or a hike. But I guess, yeah, we're all tired of being at home. There are some select Cape Nature reserves that are open for walking and for hiking and for fishing. So De Hoop, Robberg, Marloth and Grootvadersbos are a few of the favorites waiting for you to explore. You can also check out the full list, which is available on the Cape Nature website, capenature.co.za. Visitors, please keep this in mind. Purchase your entry fee permits online, as no permits are going to be sold at the gates because of COVID-19 low-touch regulations. So we want to make sure that you are sorted before you even arrive at the gate. That's why make sure that you purchase your entry fee permits online. For those of you that are wildcard members, this is very important. It's advised for you to pre-book your permits via the Cape Nature Contact Center as well. That number is 087 087 8250 before you get inspired to take a drive, just because that will ensure that all of the protocols are in place, social distancing protocols are in place. So if you leave it to the last minute, you might not be able to access your reserve on that day. Also, you are encouraged to pre-book your permits for the same day bookings. That'll close at 10 a.m. in the morning. So you might wake up with a bright idea, but make sure that you've made your arrangements before 10 a.m. That way you won't be disappointed if you arrive at the nature reserve and they're unfortunately full already because some people have booked before you and you're not able to get in due to social distancing regulations. Of course, Cape Nature is really pushing to make sure that all of the staff are fully trained, COVID compliant, so that all visitors to the reserves will be safe. Remember too that I'm about to make somebody really happy. We've got that amazing competition. Thank you so much for attending the webinar today, but make sure that you subscribe also to the monthly newsletter, because I'm sure this is also not just for today. There's an opportunity for you to win a 2-night getaway for a family of 4 to one of the nature reserves, and as always, T's and C's apply there. All right, so also at the end of the webinar, Cape Nature is going to be sending you a post-event survey, and we'd love to hear your feedback and keep sharing your hidden gems as well and your experiences. Remember to utilize that hashtag, which is hashtag CapeNatureTalks. Okay, are you ready to find out who the big winner is? Okay. We've got to just wait a couple of minutes. There you go. Are we ready to make the announcements? Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? All you need to do, remember, is just subscribe also to the newsletter. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go to the homepage of the Cape Nature website and look to sign up that website form at the foot of the page there. Once again, a big thank you to everybody that joined us live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Let me get busy with my thank yous before we make our winner announcement. Thank you so much to everybody who made time to attend this webinar. As I said before, we'll be sending you a post-event survey and we look forward to your feedback. Right, we're ready to announce our big winner. Congratulations to you, Shane or Shanae Cupido. Congratulations to you. You have won an amazing weekend for 2. It's a 2-night stay. It's for a family of 4, and that's to one of the Cape Nature Reserve. T's and C's apply. Congratulations to you. Thank you very much to our panelists for joining us this afternoon. Really amazing to hear your insights. Thank you very much, Galio. Thank you very much, Margret. Thank you very much, Wilfred. Just amazing to hear all of you talking about your love and your experiences, and for the Cape Nature properties. We encourage all of our visitors to the webinar to go and experience them in person real soon. So thank you for your time this afternoon, folks. Stay safe. safe. We look forward to welcoming you to our Cape Nature Reserves very soon, and also to welcoming you back to another Cape Nature Talks in the future. Please note that all of the questions that we weren't able to get through today will be answered during the next 7 days, and you'll get the response via email. Thank you once again. Thank you to our viewers. Thank you to the Cape Nature clients for joining us. Thank you to our panelists, Galileo, Margriet, Wilfred, and from me, Sugar. Have a great night. Stay safe. Good night, everyone.
Bye.